And we're ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's City Council meeting. For those of you who are attending remotely, the camera in council chambers is set up to show those attending in person tonight. The platform we are using has a raise hand feature. You will notice a picture of a hand in the upper right-hand corner. When we reach the point in the meeting where the public has the opportunity to address council, you can click that button to be given your opportunity to address council. Before we stand for the pledge, I will again ask after the pledge for a moment of silence tonight for Mary Kay Fredericks, who passed away on February 3rd. Mrs. Fredericks served as city clerk in Ogdensburg for 16 years, from 1972 to 1988, and we offer our condolences to her family. So please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Tulley,
Here.
Counselor Silly,
Here.
Counselor Scamperly,
Here.
Counselor Stevenson,
Here.
Counselor Trim,
Here.
Counselor Weaver,
Here.
quorum present.
Thank you. We will now begin the process to fill the vacant seat on council, and we'll ask City Clerk Kathy Jack to explain the procedure.
So I'm distributing printed ballots to all members of council. If you could make your selection and pass them back to me, I'll then tally the votes. In accordance with section C10C2D of the charter, the nominee receiving 4 or more votes shall be named to fill the vacancy.
Thanks, sir.
The first vote is for Michael Powers. The next 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 is for Michael Powers. And the last vote is for Michael Powers. So the individual with the most votes is Michael Powers with 6 votes. At this time, I'd like to invite him down to the front for his oath of office, please. Now, you raise your right hand, repeat after me, please. I, Michael Powers,
I, Michael Powers,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of City Councilor
the duties of City Council
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
I need your right hand, please.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
And then while Mike's working his way to his seat, just to confirm with the city clerk that that this appointment is for the remainder of calendar year 2024, and that there will be a special election this November for the remaining 1 year of the 2-year term that is open with the vacancy.
That is correct, sir.
So,
Thank you. I am humbled by the support and glad to be back serving citizens of Ogdensburg. Thank you.
thank you, Mike. We have one presentation tonight. It's from the Ogdensburg Volunteer Rescue Squad, their annual report, and Chief Ken Gardner is here to present that to us.
Good evening, all. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councilors. Andrea, thank you for making this very non-drama filled presentation. And Kathy, thank you for everything you always do. I seem to have opened up kind of a worrisome storm, I guess you can call it. I just spent an hour and 45 minutes with the news for about a minute and 30-second piece that I guess is probably running right now. Something I guess I wrote in here opened a lot of eyes. So let us be very clear. The Ogdensburg Rescue Squad is in fine shape. We will continue to run. We are not closing the doors. Everything is fine. Money can always be better, but there is absolutely no chance we are closing doors and nothing is happening with the Ogdensburg Rescue Squad. Okay, so let's get that out of the way right away. I would imagine, or I hope most of you have read the report. It is, I think it has been posted on our Facebook page. It is out there. If anybody would like to see a copy of it, they can always contact me at the squad. As far as the public goes, feel free to contact me anytime. Revenue is always a problem with the rescue squad. It's interesting. We just got a report today that came out that statewide Medicare and Medicaid rates are at an all-time low for the state. And the funny thing is they have the state gapped at 27% is Medicaid. Well, here in, 28%. Well, here in Ogdensburg, for us, it is 73% is what our reimbursement rate. So every start kind of across the state about reimbursements, about the amount of money that we get from Medicare, Medicaid, and the regular insurances. We will continue to fight through it. We do have, the governor has approved an increase this year, an increase next year, an increase the year after. It's still not going to be enough to cover ambulance calls, and certainly as every year medical supplies and everything else seems to go up, that's not going to help us whatsoever. Blue Cross Blue Shield, on a really positive note, finally, we have gotten it through for the direct bill. So we don't have to continue chasing people that receive checks and do not turn them over. Most of them on purpose, some of them not, but most of them on purpose. It's amazing where some of the people, or where they actually work, where they are getting the full reimbursement and still don't turn it over. To me, it just blows my mind. EMS staffing across New York State. This also came out today. And they say largely due to low wages paid in career EMS responders. And I will be honest, it is nowhere near what a firefighter will make or a police officer will make. The number of active EMS personnel in New York State declined by 17.5%. It's dropped from 40,000 to 33,000 in 2 years. 37% of the respondents that we sent out a huge survey came back and indicated that 48% of them believed that they would not be making an EMS a long-term career, and they would not be staying at it more than 5 years. So EMS in New York State is in crisis. Luckily, in the city of Ogdensburg, we have an outstanding system. And it would be very unjust for me, number one, not to credit to members of this council that were here during the last regime for helping us get those defibrillators. But still, it was huge for us to get that grant of $156,000. You guys have no idea how beneficial that has been for us. But on the other hand, huge thanks has to go to Chief Stahl and Chief Kearns. I've said it every year I come up here. The city of Ogdensburg has by far the shining example of what New York State should be like when it comes to EMS service. Our first responders are outstanding. They get there first. If we get an overdose, we'll get the city police will get there first. We have a huge problem in the city with overdoses and drugs. It's no surprise to anybody. But if it weren't for those guys, especially Mark's crew this past year, they've been getting us extremely quick carrying the Narcan, followed by the first responders, and then us. Sometimes police officers and the first responders give a little too much Narcan, where a paramedic such as me almost gets his head ripped off when the person wakes up. But if it were for them, we would have some severe difficulties and a whole lot more overdose deaths in this city. I don't know what we can do about it. We live on a border. Stuff is going to come in, and the stuff is getting laced with the fentanyl, and there's just not a thing right now that we can do about it. Those were our biggest calls for the year. We had some really lean times with volunteers. We have been extremely lucky over the last year and a half. We are averaging just about one volunteer a month coming back. What should amaze people here is we have members that right now we have 6 from Ottawa, and we have 2 from over in the Montreal area. And Canada does not have a volunteer system for EMS. They do for fire, but they don't for EMS. These people literally travel in twice a month to give up at least 16 hours. Most of them give up closer to 36 to 40 hours because they just stay 24 hours at a time at least, to come over and just serve with us. And volunteers are amazing. I mean, that's how I started out. I am now, how many years you've been doing it, sir, counselor?
Me?
Yeah.
In Ogdensburg, 42.
Yeah, overall? Yeah, I'm at 39. Good Lord, I can't believe it. We have some extremely dedicated members. Everybody knows we went through the 50-year with John Porter last year. We are in okay shape. Money-wise, we're okay. Do I hope January 1st, 2025, with signing the direct pay bill going to help us even more? Yes. My fingers will really cross it. That money coming in will be great for us. However, for us to replace stretchers, like we have 4 stretchers right now that, quote unquote, by federal rules and regs, if they run out of time that the manufacturer can continue to fix them. We have 4 of them. Each of them costs currently $26,000 a piece. We also have, nowadays, people want to go to this big mega load system that loads it all in by itself, those whole 9 yards. Well, for that alone, it's $42,000 an ambulance. It's just the little things that people do not understand how much it costs to continue running EMS. Yes, we all know we have to pay for medications. Yes, we all know that. But for all those monitors, they ran out of warranty, so now it's $10,000 a year we pay to have them under a service agreement. For the stretchers, we pay $5,000 a year to have a company come and fix them. We have to, because a narcotics company decided they're no longer going to service the narcotic safes that we have. So tomorrow night, sorry, sir, I'm about to make a recommendation to our board that we have to spend almost $16,000 on narcotic safes and software and be able to, because now everybody's going to that subscription stuff. So we have to pay the subscription, and that's only for 5 years. So there's a lot of little costs that people don't know about. Luckily, we've been able to maintain. It still costs us a lot of money in paid staff, but that's the only thing that really got us through COVID. Had it not been for paid staff, we could have been in some serious trouble. We are running more and more transports. The hospitals are begging for us to run more and more transports. The problem that we're seeing lately in transports, obviously, there's a lot of wear and tear, number one, on the ambulances. There's also a lot of wear and tear on our people, because back in COVID, everybody remembers what happened with nurses and stuff. Well, not a lot of those nurses have not returned to the area hospitals, whether it be here or mainly Syracuse, which is where our closest trauma center, cardiac center, and stroke center would be, that we take these patients to. So now we're going, it's either going to Burlington, or over the last couple of months, we've made at least 2 trips a week going to Albany now with patients. So we have our staff, once they start working, they're working 16 hours just on one transport. And the hospital would like us to take 2 or 3 a day. So it's, we have some serious difficulties in the system. How they're going to get fixed, I don't know. Luckily, I'm serving on a couple different statewide committees. We'll see. To New York State's credit, they have recognized that we have a problem. They have started a rural task force. The funny thing about their rural task force, as I put in the thing, is they consider Orange County to be rural. So if they lose a department someplace down there or they can't get out, they have another department within between 2 and 5 miles. It is not like what we are up here. So we have been running anywhere over the last 3 years from Waddington to the county line, going to Hammond and almost out towards Canton on a daily basis. And as I showed in my report, they have what they call scratch number and how many calls you have to turn over and how many calls mutual aid. Well, the county on a whole, their average was 73% this year. For us, we were at 99%. We turned over literally 32 calls out of almost 3,000 this past year. So I am extremely proud of that. We work hard for the city. We enjoy what we do. Speaking on behalf of the volunteers, they do it because they love what they do. Paid staff has really got to like doing what they do because they do not get paid very well. So with that, I know I kind of rambled and went all around like I kind of do every year, but you know, does anybody have any kind of questions for me?
Questions or comments?
I think I would just make the comment that we're all grateful. Thank you so much. No questions.
Any insight, Ken, as to why the state put that law off a year to get you guys direct payment? I mean, over a year, really, they put it off.
Yeah, am I saying here as a chief or am I saying here as me, in my own personal view? As a chief, I think it's, she just thought the timing of placing it in place would probably be better if it lasted a little bit of years. Myself personally, I mean, I think it has to do with lobbyists. I think the insurance company is a huge lobby. She signed it, to be honest with you, on a Friday afternoon dump at about 7 o'clock at night, hoping that it would get through and nobody would see it. The only people who saw it, we saw it, and of course, I'm sure the insurance companies did, but to kind of make everybody happy, she pushed it off till January 1st, and I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm hoping it stays in place and it goes in, but one never knows. They got a year to fight to get it out. So
Why would the insurance companies fight against the rescue squad getting paid?
Because
Bottom line.
this is where it all starts. All right, with the insurance companies, as you know, they take your money and they turn around, they invest your money while they have it, so they can make money on the side and they pay it out only when they have to. What they wanted us to do, and why we now have the problem that we do and trying to get checks from people, is they wanted us to enter into their network. So for us to be in their network, and for them to send the check directly to us, we had to agree with them for anywhere between 73% to 82% to agree to get paid for that call. For us to agree to be in the network, to guarantee they'd send the check right to us. Well, we said no. So now what we force them to do is they have to pay 100%, but because the law is the way it is, they don't have to send it to us, they send it to the patient. And then what the patient does with it from there is completely up to them. And then it got worse last year, obviously, when they passed the Medicare, Medicaid bill in the state, as far as if you have Medicaid, you cannot be taken to small claims court, we cannot take you to collections or anything of the sort, which is fine, we never did if that's all it was. That was never our intent. However, if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, let's say, as your number one insurance, but you have Medicaid behind it, and you keep that check, because they have Medicaid behind it, we cannot take them to small claims court. So it is free money going to the patients right now. And the people that know about that are taking advantage of that. I mean, we still send the letters and things hoping, but no. If they have Medicaid behind, we cannot take them to small claims court.
There's
It's a-
nothing legally that says if the check was given to them for payment of your services, that they have to forward that money to you.
No, ma'am, there isn't right now. Because the check gets written to them. We explored all sorts, of whether we could do theft of services, all sorts of different things. The check is in their name. They know what they're getting it for, but they can go ahead and deposit it. And they have Medicaid in the background. We cannot take them to the small claims court. So that's been an ongoing fight. Like I said, I was really happy that we finally got that fight through. There are other issues now that we're fighting as far as rural stuff, trying to get some more funding and help up here and be able to get ambulances, at a lower cost, or hopefully get some money from the state. There is the big talk. My big point, my next fight is now to make it an essential service, which is in the governor's budget. Last year, legislators didn't want to do a lot of it in the budget. They wanted to do it through legislative process, like the direct bill. They wanted to put it actually into law, so they did. I don't know where we're standing right now on the making it an essential service, but essential service would obviously entitle us to more money from the and help. I mean, it could even get paid staff into state pension. So there are some positives that we could get out of that, but that's all stuff down the road. Those are more fights I get to fight. Look, I'm getting old, like a certain counselor, and my time's gonna come to an end here soon. So, but other than that, I'm sorry. Any other questions?
Anyone else? All right, I do have a couple. Just curious, the $156,000 grants that allow for the purchase of the defibrillators, what was the source of those funds?
It was ARPA funding.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Very kind.
Andrea, just for those that don't know what ARPA funding is, I'm familiar, but
The American Rescue Plan Act, haven't said that in a while, so that came through COVID.
And can you make reference to Narcan? Okay. In January, I was contacted by Sabrina Herlick, who is Director of Rural Communities Opioid Response Grant out of the Adirondack Health Institute in Glens Falls. I don't know if you know her.
Yes.
Her agency is partnering with Seaway Valley Prevention Center to provide and service a harm reduction vending machine in the city to increase the availability of Narcan, fentanyl test strips, and xylazine test strips. And this vending machine will be located at the center's 206 4th Street address with the city's permission. Okay, so I just wanted to let the public know about those efforts.
The
And
county gives them away for free too, so just to.
Okay.
Don't mean to interrupt you.
thanks. And then again, to wrap up again, I think the report speaks to the outstanding service that the Volunteer Rescue Squad here in Ogburg provides, and a great collaboration between you and our police and fire is certainly to be commended. And it's nice to hear that your finances are stable at this point, even though there's a challenge for equipment purchases that hopefully might be addressed with what will be hopefully a new source of funding come January.
We would love to see that happen, yes, sir.
Right? So it's an excellent report. Glad you read it. Glad you shared it with us tonight, Ken. Thank you.
I thank you all for the invite, and once again, Andrew, thank you for the no drama this year. Much appreciated.
We do not have any public hearings tonight, and so that brings us to personal appearance. At this time, if anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 5 minutes. And if anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature and the city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time, and you'll have 5 minutes. Okay, so no one in house, will go remotely.
I do not see any hands raised, sir.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to correspondence, and we have 2 letters to present to council this evening.
Yes, sir. Mayor and City Council, on September 14th, 2023 at 10:30 a.m., I fell at the intersection of State Street and the 100 block of Ford Street in Ogdensburg, New York. I immediately went to my dentist due to injuries, police station for a report to be filed and pictures to be taken, and then City Hall to file a claim with the city clerk. The claim amount is approximately $1,200, which covers dental repairs and damaged glasses. The pictures of the pavement were shown to Shane Brown, DPW, who reported to interim city manager that this portion of pavement was the responsibility of the state. We immediately did our legwork to reach out to a state DOT engineer who responded with emails to us and was forwarded to city clerk, who in turn sent to Mr. Brown and the interim city manager. And the conclusion was made by the city that the information was conflicting and couldn't make a decision. Onward, I was not notified of any status of the claim. I then reached out to a second engineer of the DOT, and a letter, pictures, and blueprints were sent and was also sent to city clerk, and copies were made and once again sent to interim city manager. I've tried to reach out to the manager to check the process of the claim with no call back. Interim city manager has all the information and photos. On January 30th, 2024, I received a call back from interim city manager in regards to my claim. The results of the call was the city attorney is working with PMA Insurance. I reached out to PMA and left a message with Brittany Falk. On February 2nd, 2024, I spoke with Erica Kennedy at PMA. She told me she was playing phone tag with the Ogdensburg city attorney. She wants to go ahead and pay the claim. I again spoke with interim city manager on February 2nd, 2024, and was told the city attorney would be making the ultimate decision regarding the claim. On February 3rd, 2024, I received a letter from the city attorney stating the city is not liable for the claim and it was denied. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for your time and Irwin. Our next letter, dear interim city manager Smith, Mayor Tooley, and city councilors. On behalf of the Ogdensburg City School District Board of Education, Administration, faculty, staff, and students, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for the swift and professional response of our local police department to a recent threat made against our school community. As the district superintendent, as well as a parent and member of the Ogdensburg community, I am deeply appreciative of the dedication and commitment shown by law enforcement officers in ensuring the safety and security of our children and educators. The recent threat understandably caused anxiety and concern among students, parents, and staff. However, the decisive action taken by our police department helped alleviate fears and reassured us that every measure was being taken to protect our community. I want to commend the officers who responded to the situation for their professionalism, diligence, and compassion. Their presence and prompt intervention not only ensured the safety of our school, but also demonstrated their unwavering commitment to serving and protecting our children and staff. In times of crisis, it is reassuring to know that we can rely on the expertise and dedication of our local law enforcement. Their collaborative efforts with other law enforcement agencies, school administrators, and staff were instrumental in managing the situation effectively and maintaining a sense of calm and security. As a community, we are truly fortunate to have such dedicated and capable individuals serving in our police department. Please extend my heartfelt thanks to Chief Kearns, School Resource Officer Sergeant Polniak, School Resource Officers Streeter and Hollister, as well as all the officers involved in responding to the threat for their outstanding service and commitment to our safety. Once again, thank you for your leadership and support in ensuring the well-being of our community. I'm grateful for the partnership between the City of Ogdensburg and our district in keeping our city safe. Sincerely, Kevin Kendall, Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you, Jan. Next, we have our consent agenda. That the claims as enumerated in General Fund Warrant 3-2024 in the amount of $703,153.11, and Library Warrant number 3-2024 in the amount of $0, and Capital Fund Warrant number 3-2024 in the amount of $63,252.49, and Community Development Fund Warrant number 3-2024 in the amount of $75.98, and Community Renewal Fund Warrant number 3-2024 in the amount of $0 as audited, being the same hereby are ordered paid. I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
approved.
Next, under appointments, we have one appointment tonight, and I will make a motion to appoint Danielle Davis to a 5-year term on the Ogdenburg Public Library Board of Trustees. Term to begin February 12, 2024, and then December 31, 2028.
I'll second that.
Any comments? Just for council to know, I did have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Davis last Friday after receiving her resume from the administration at the library, and it is very impressive. Very strong financial background, very strong history of public service in other arenas, and she describes herself as a voracious reader. So it was pleasant getting a chance to speak with her briefly. I express our appreciation and thankfulness for her willingness to step up to this important board. So with that, Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
approved.
Your first item of business we read by Public Works Director Shane Brown.
Excuse me.
A resolution calling for a public hearing on local law to amend 215-41 of the Ogden Municipal Code entitled Miscellaneous Charges.
Move that.
Second.
Any discussion? And again, this is to call for the public hearing in 2 weeks. When I did review, it looks like this was last changed or modified in April of 2020. So it's been 4 years since we've had any adjustment to these fees. Kathy, call the roll, please.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
approved.
Our next item of business we read by Interim City Manager Andrea Smith.
This is a resolution urging Governor Hochul to continue operation of the Riverview and Governor Correctional Facilities in St. Lawrence County. Whereas Governor Kathy Hochul has submitted to the state legislature a fiscal year 2025 executive budget proposal seeking authorization to, quote, act expeditiously to right size and eliminate excess capacity by allowing for the closure of up to 5 correctional facilities within 90 days notice, end quote. And whereas Ogdensburg and St. Lawrence County have a long history of seeking, welcoming, and supporting New York State correctional facilities, and whereas this support of the New York State correctional facilities has enabled the state to find locations for its facilities at times when other communities are not willing to accept these facilities. And whereas our facilities in Ogdensburg and Gouverneur have distinguished themselves for decades with their innovative programming and educational opportunities for incarcerated individuals, safety, and overall efficiency. And whereas these 2 facilities combined provide over $60 million in payroll and provide over 700 jobs for upstate families. And whereas both facilities are operating at budget fill levels. And whereas due to the recent closures of the Ogdensburg Correctional Facility in 2022 and the downsizing of the state-owned St. Lawrence Psychiatric Center campus, there is over 1 million square feet of vacant and unused New York State-owned buildings. And whereas these buildings left abandoned and unused provide no economic value to the locality or to the state, and along with an additional 6 closed state prisons in the North Country, are a clear demonstration of the difficulty repurposing closed state facilities in this region. And whereas any additional closures of correctional facilities in St. Lawrence County would be a devastating economic hardship to what is already one of the most economically depressed areas of New York State. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Ogdensburg City Council strongly supports the continued operation of the Riverview and Gouverneur Correctional Facilities and urges New York State to actively maintain, market, and redevelop the numerous correctional facilities previously closed within the North Country, including the Ogdensburg Correctional Facility. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Governor Kathy Hochul, New York State Senators Walczak and Steck, New York Assembly members Gray, Blankenbush, and Jones, and U.S. Representatives Elise Stefanik, U.S. Senator Charles Schumer, and U.S. Senator Christian Gillibrand.
Would a member of council like to introduce this item?
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd like to just add a couple of representatives of the state government to the last be it further resolved to Majority Leader Andre Stewart Cousins and Speaker Carl Hasty.
So if that's a motion.
Andrea, this is Chief Kearns.
Go ahead, Chief, we can hear
If
you.
it's proper, may I add something as well?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So the CERT team from Riverview Correctional Facility, if we lost that, it leaves a huge hole in our law enforcement response across the county. It is in every active shooter plan across the county that the CERT team from Riverview Correctional is our perimeter. That is a group of highly trained officers. So they are not just guards at that prison. They're absolutely first responders in our community that we desperately need. If there's a way to notate that.
That's a great addition.
So Kathy, do you have language to that effect that we can add to to modify this resolution?
Not at this moment.
We can add that to a letter,
Do that
and I
to
can
cover
work
that.
on that verbiage with the chief, and it would accompany the resolution would accompany the letter.
Yeah,
if
I
that's
think
okay.
that makes sense in the interest of time.
That could be shared with the actual Commissioner of Corrections as well.
Yes.
That letter, acknowledging the CERT team and the efforts of not just the CERT team members, but all of, we had the immigration, we had the officers from the border coming in, we've had the Border Patrol, our local law enforcement and first responders. From everything I've heard from people, that the response was phenomenal and very well orchestrated. And it's good to acknowledge the CERT team. They get activated pretty quickly, and so they're not CERT team aren't always standing on guard, so to speak. They're getting texts, emergency texts, and then they get activated. So they activated pretty quick, and that's a good acknowledgement for the commissioner just to see that and that the community recognizes that. I think that's a great idea.
All right, so before we take action on a motion to amend, any other discussion? I think I'd like to just point out for the public that there was a meeting of a task force, initial meeting, to discuss strategy to deal with the possibility of prison closures within New York State, and particularly in St. Lawrence County. Representatives at that meeting included representatives from the city, from Village of Governor, from St. Lawrence County, from the IDA, and Mr. Powers was there as a consultant representing Docs. And so I thought that was a very productive meeting. And this resolution is an outcome from that meeting. And it should be noted also that accompanying this resolution is a letter to the governor issued by Assemblyman Scott Gray back on January 20th, which he is already advocating for the preservation of the prison still active in St. Lawrence County. And we certainly appreciate his activism and leadership in this arena. So with that, entertaining Councilor Powers' suggestion as a motion to amend to include the majority leader and speaker, I will second that motion to amend. Any other discussion? All right, so then can we vote on the motion to amend?
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes?
Counselor Silly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
approved.
All right, and now we can vote on the motion as amended.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
approved.
All right, our next item of business will be read by Public Works Director Shane Brown.
A resolution authorizing interim city manager to execute a professional service agreement with EDR for required post-construction compliance monitoring.
We have a motion to,
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
right, any discussion?
Can we just get a little background for the public?
Yes.
So after the wastewater treatment upgrades, we have to capture 90% of our stormwater in heavy rain events, season. So this will be the monitor that, and I think the last time it was monitored was 2017 before the construction project. So this is just, complying with our long-term patrol plan to set us up for new measures and where they want us to be in the future.
That's when we raised the weirs in 2017 to see.
Yes, and then
the
we-
reduction.
Added the CSO tank and the Elizabeth Street pump station during the project.
Thank you.
With the modifications, are we going to meet those standards?
We believe so. We hope so.
It's hard to know with the changing storms.
Yes.
And EDR is a company the city has worked with in the past in this type of field, this type of work.
Yes, and they did the work through the whole construction project and the plant. So the shows goes right along with that.
Okay.
This was in the budget in 2023. We just had to work through an issue with the DEC. We just moved the funds forward to this year.
Understood. Any other questions or discussion? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
approved.
And our next item of business will be read by interim city manager Andrea Smith.
This is a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority. Whereas the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority provided a presentation outlining the proposed expansion of the Ogdensburg Airport at the January 8th, 2024 City Council meeting. And whereas part of that presentation included an overview of the Port Authority's desire to collaborate with the city on the expansion of municipal water and sewer service to the airport. And whereas the city of Ogdensburg requires a consulting engineer to provide the following services in support of the proposed project. Number one, review and provide comments on sanitary sewer and water distribution engineering report as prepared by the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority and their consulting team. Number two, review and provide comments on contract documents dated August 2023 for the Gateway Improvements Project as prepared by the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority and their consultant team. Number three, review water and sewer shop drawings for the Gateway Improvement Project as provided by others. A total of 15 submittal reviews are budgeted. Review will be to check conformance with the city of Ogdensburg water and sewer material standards. And number four, coordinate with the city on reviews and conduct meetings as determined to be necessary. Whereas the proposal has been submitted by Environmental Design and Research, EDR, to perform these services in an amount not to exceed $5,500. Now therefore be it resolved that the interim city manager or her designee is authorized to sign the attached MOU outlining the duties and responsibilities of each party.
I'll move that. I'll second.
Just to note, Mayor, within the MOU, the authority would actually be covering the cost of the engineering. The authority agrees to make payment within 30 days of submission of an invoice inclusive of proof of payment to the city of Ogdensburg up to $5,500 in accordance with the proposal from EDR.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other question or comment?
Who's their consulting team?
They are working with, McFarland and Johnson. Thank you.
Pardon me?
McFarland and Johnson.
Any other question, comment? Kathy, please call the roll.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Selly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
approved.
And our next item of business will also be read by interim city manager Andrea Smith.
This is a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to enter into a contract with Environmental Design and Research to provide engineering services for the city's lead service line inventory project.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any further discussion or comment? The one question I have was looking at the material on page 6 of the response. Is this the project team? Are these people we've worked with before, for the most part?
Let me just pull it up. So I can tell you. So, yes, Michael Tamlin is the principal in charge listed in this proposal. He is also the principal in charge on the city's capital project at our wastewater treatment facility. And Charles Pryor is the project manager, who is the PE that we work with on a weekly, daily sort of basis on that project. And we have since we started this project in 2017. So both of those two individuals are very familiar with our wastewater system specifically. This is a water project, but we're very familiar with both Michael and Charles, as we are Abby, and we are currently working with Abby on our Main Street pump station, along with Charles.
Thank you. Anything else? Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Silly,
Yes.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
approved.
And I will introduce the next resolution. Whereas the city of Ogdensburg's mayor and aldermen adopted a resolution on June 6, 1893, that a public library be hereby established for the free use of the inhabitants of the city in accordance with the laws of 1892, Chapter 378, Section 36. And whereas New York State Education Law, Section 255, states in part that a city authorized to levy and collect taxes may authorize the establishment of a public library and may appropriate monies raised by tax or otherwise to equip and maintain such library for its use. And whereas in a letter dated January 3rd, 2024 to the mayor and city council, the board of trustees of the Ogdensburg Public Library requested the city of Ogdensburg, quote, help with maintenance in the form of snow removal, lawn care, tree bush maintenance, and trash removal. And whereas after analysis by city staff and review by city council, the city council is not supporting this request due to concerns about potential liability to the city and the potential cost of these requested services when no funding for these services is included in the 2024 city budget. And whereas the city council desires to provide financial support to the Ogdensburg Public Library in 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council authorizes a transfer to the Ogdensburg Public Library in the amount of $5,000. Be it further resolved that $5,000 be allocated to budget line A 9512.910, contributions to public library, from the general fund balance budget line A 2812 to finance this expense. And be it further resolved that library budget will be amended to increase budget line L 5031.7410, library contributions from city, and decrease line L 1001, library taxes, school district, in the amount of $5,000 each. I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? Kathy, call the roll, please.
Counselor Powers,
Yes.
Counselor Scamperly,
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yes.
Counselor Trim,
Yes.
Counselor Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Tulley,
Yes.
Counselor Silly,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you. Next, under old business, we will begin with interim city manager Andrea Smith.
So last council meeting, the council asked for an update on the Neighborhood Watch program. So I'm just going to give you a very brief update, and then if the chief wants to comment more, please do. Following the community meeting on October 25th, 2023, there were 29 Neighborhood Watch signups, which were all submitted through the mail to Sergeant Danielle Price. After follow-up, 6 of those applications were from city residents. The police department is still accepting those applications and is planning additional outreach and campaigning in March to further educate city residents on the program and the benefits of participating. So we did a Facebook post to include the application as well as a news flash, and those applications can be picked up here at City Hall as well as at the Ogdensburg Police Department if anyone is interested in those. And Chief, if you'd like to add anything more, please do.
Sure. Yeah, at the community meeting, we had 300 attendees. Like the city interim city manager said, 29 people signed up for Neighborhood Watch that night. Sergeant Price reached out to each of those 29 individuals by U.S. mail to set up individualized neighborhood meetings. And only 6 people showed up for those meetings to really get this started, which with those low numbers made it very difficult to get this project going. So we're going to try to bring some vigor back to the program here in March. With warmer weather, we know we'll get an uptick in petty crime, and thefts will obviously go up once people are out and about again and not freezing all night long. So it's really a pertinent time to get the Neighborhood Watch up and going. Really, the whole premise on a Neighborhood Watch is just looking out for your neighbor. You can be as little involved to as much involved as you want. You can be as what we call a window watcher, just looking out your window and looking as far as you can from your own house, to going for walks in your neighborhood. And if you really want to drive around and call in what you feel is suspicious, you can absolutely do that as well. So we have the program adapted to do all of the above. So we'll address that more here in just a couple weeks.
Thank you, Chief.
Any questions or comments from council?
Just thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
Okay, next.
The next item is 30 Main Street. Again, this was brought up at the last meeting, so just a little bit more detail on that. And to kind of recap that project for new members of council in particular, the city did receive a Restore New York grant that's through Empire State Development. We also have received a National Grid Brownfield Redevelopment Program grant. The Restore New York grant is a $1.8 million grant, and the National Grid grant is up to $300,000. The contract for demolition was awarded on November 13th, 2023 to Bronze Contracting. It's a contracting firm out of Remsen, New York, and they are a certified women-owned business. The contract for demolition is $1,220,000. Paradigm Environmental was also awarded a contract for third-party air monitoring and environmental consulting services for the duration of the abatement and demolition, also awarded at the November 13th, 2023 meeting. They have a contract not to exceed $155,350. The third-party air monitoring occurs daily whenever they're doing demolition in an effort to keep asbestos dust particles down, in accordance with our Department of Labor waiver that allows us to do demolition with asbestos-containing materials in place due to the condition and unsafe condition specifically of the building that doesn't allow for abatement prior to demolition. The city is directly paying all of the landfill and disposal fees, which the debris is being transported to Rodman, the landfill in Rodman, New York. And the project officially started on Tuesday, February 6th. The substantial completion date by contract is April 26th, and the final date per contract is May 10th. So that's sort of the rough timeline as it stands today.
May 10th to be complete with the project?
Correct, for the demolition and abatement. That sort of gets us to the next step of marketing and redeveloping that property.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments from council?
Andrew, do we anticipate any pollution remediation needs afterwards? It's not covered under the demolition contract. I'm assuming some type of testing is gonna have to be done, but I'd hate to see us in the same boat we are with some of our other properties where we have this nice piece of land. Can't do anything with it.
It's a great question, Counselor. So the answer to that is we don't know. We have done all the environmental testing that we could do prior to demolition, including a phase 2 environmental site assessment. But what we don't know is the state of any potential contamination underneath the foundation, so underneath where the buildings are. And we will be able to take a closer look at that post demolition. The good news there is that the city we are a recipient of a 2019 Department of State grant for environmental site assessments, and this is one of the sites within that grant that funding is eligible for.
Okay, anybody else? All right, thank you for that update, Andrea. Any other old business from council? Right, hearing none, that brings us to new business. Does anyone have any new business to present tonight? All right, hearing none, that brings us to items for discussion. We'll start with interim city manager Andrea Smith.
So I provided for council in their packet some information on the New York State Homes and Community Renewal Pro Housing Communities Program. This was initiated by the governor and allows communities to apply. There are 2 avenues for applying. One is through providing data that showcases your permits and specifically new construction rehabilitation, and then also by way of letter of intent and resolution. So I drafted those for council and then provided you with a little bit of a fact sheet in advance of tonight's meeting, just to get your thoughts. The greatest benefit, I should say, of this program is that it does give communities that do receive the certification priority in future grant applications, including the highly coveted New York Forward and Downtown Revitalization Initiative funding. So this is something I have spoken a little bit about with Mayor Tooley, and it would be my recommendation to pursue this. And I just wanted to give council an opportunity to talk about it, ask any questions, and certainly it doesn't have to be acted on this evening. It can be put on the agenda for action on the 26th if there's interest in doing that.
And just to follow up, I did attend the New York Conference of Mayors Legislative Forum last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and had the opportunity to hear a presentation from the Homes and Community Renewal Department, as well as comments that the governor made to us at a reception she hosted at the mansion. This program, Pro Housing Communities Program, is a very high priority for the governor. And I think it's clearly indicated that it's a high priority when communities to get priority scoring for these important grant programs need to be certified. And recognizing that communities may not be in a position right now to meet the statistics and benchmarks required for certification, the alternative method, as Andrea described, is through a resolution of the governing body indicating its intention to participate in this program and to achieve the benchmarks that are needed. And then you have to have an annual renewal of your certification. So, so I think it's very important that City Council adopt a resolution that will get us in position with a letter of intent to be certified for 2024. I think we can set this up for the next meeting. Any other questions or comments from council?
Was there any critique at NICOM for this program? that you recall from mayors or anybody that a little bit leery of the program?
No, I don't think there's anything new. Right now, I think the number was around 70 communities in the state have achieved certification already. And while the criteria is in place for the benchmarks that need to be achieved, I got the sense that as the program matures, that there could be from feedback from communities across the state, possibly some modification with regards to the requirements to help communities maintain certification. So I don't think the current benchmarks are going to be locked in stone for 10 years. Okay, I do think there's room for discussion. There might be room for alternative ways to achieve certification again if the benchmarks can't be achieved. But I would say a few of the questions posed to the presenters from the Homes and Community Renewal staff were either wait and see, or we're waiting to hear feedback from you. So again, the program started last September, so it's in its infancy. But again, it does have a very high priority for Governor Hochul.
I like the fact that it puts you a little bit on a higher step when we're going for New York going forward grants or DRIs especially. So I say let's get around the agenda.
I'd like to add that it is great that we will have that extra step with our grant applications, but there is a housing crisis across our country, and the quality of our housing is really in the negative. So we of all people know that what we need in our city. So I think this is a great step for us to help our city move forward with our housing stock. And then the extra benefit of the application for grants is a bonus on top. But I think this is really important for us to get behind.
Yeah, I'm shooting from the hip here a little bit. I think the time frame was 10 years, but there was statistics given that over this time, let's say the last 10 years, New York State's created 1.1 million jobs across the state, but there's only been $400,000 new homes constructed across the state during that same time period.
That's what
So again, the desire by the state to get housing in place to be able to recruit people to come in to work in New York State and to have people stay in New York State to work. And again, we certainly want to be on board with those certifications.
I'd like to just add as well that a lot of the housing, and I'm sure Councilor Stevenson's well aware of it as well, that these housing programs are high priority for her and her administration. And she's run into roadblocks before, but it's good to see this executive order and fully support a quicker the better a resolution going forward and helping us secure any additional grants and offering assistance to our housing stock. Without question. It's always been, I brought it up in here before about a housing program in the past 4 years. I've always supported it in my years previously. And I think it's great. And I appreciate the fact that you went down and got a first bird's eye view, or not bird's eye view, but a front seat into the whole thing. And I think it's good for the city of Ogdensburg as a whole. I think it's great, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a period of time since Ogdensburg's had a president at NICOM. Yeah. And I intend to reverse that. And I think all of us, should be as active as NICOM as we choose to be and take advantage of the resources available for us at their website, the education webinars they have for counselors, the in-person meetings where you do great networking. And so I'm looking forward to this council, making a great effort to be active in NICOM.
Mike, I want to thank you for taking your time, Mayor Mike, taking your time to go to that and spend your time there for us. So it's greatly appreciated, and it's great to see your dedication to that. I thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other items for discussion? All right, I just have a couple. And then just to highlight one more time, since our last city council meeting, we've had 6 new firefighters take the oath and join the force, and they're at academy right now. And we're looking forward to them, to their success at the academy and joining our workforce in the near future. This weekend is the reenactment of the Battle of Ogdensburg. On Saturday, following laying of the wreath at Sheriff York's grave at the Ogdensburg Cemetery at 10:30. The battle begins at 1:30, starting at the corner of Riverside and Franklin Streets. It ends at the corner of State and Ford Streets, and refreshments and presentations to follow at the Ogdensburg History Museum. On Sunday, at 1:30, the battle reenactment resumes at Lighthouse Point. So if you have time in either one of those days, I encourage citizens to witness these battle reenactments, which was such an important time in our city's history. I want to thank our vacancy committee, Doug Loeffler, Mark Knowlton, and Laura Ashley, for the expedited timeline in which they proceeded to provide us names for consideration to fill the seat tonight. So while council was down to 6 members for 11 days, we ended up having no meetings with a vacancy. So appreciate your timeline and your work in there. With that, at this time, we'll move to citizens' participation. If anyone attending in person would like to address council, please come down to the podium and you will have 2 minutes.
As chairman of the vacancy committee, I'd like to commend the mayor and council tonight for the professionalism shown for the appointment of Mr. Powers to the vacant seat. It's a breath of fresh air knowing that we were not going to go through the fiasco that we went through last year trying to fill a vacant council seat. Also, I'd like to say thank you to Kathy Jack, who does an enormous amount of work for us when we have a vacant seat, getting all the paperwork done, and we really appreciate her work. So thanks, Kathy.
Thanks.
Hey folks, Greg McNamara, 805 Pearl Street. Good to see some new faces up here at this table, and I congratulate the new faces. I'm here to speak about something I've spoke about in the past regarding my side yard being damaged on the Madison Ave side of my corner by trucks from Hoosier Magnets. It hasn't happened, since quite a while ago. I brought this to the city's attention. I believe it was the beginning of last summer. And my yard's still rutted up and tore up, and nothing was done about it. I went through a lot of lengths to try to get this a solution to the problem or get it fixed. For a long time, I was led to believe by the chief of police he was going to get it taken care of, and the trucking company that did the damage was going to pay for it. Shane at the DPW agreed that they should be the ones liable at one point in time. And I don't know what happened between all of that, and I was put off. The city was short-staffed. It was it wasn't a big priority. And I understood that, but it got to the point in time where I was basically told nothing was going to be done about it, and basically I was beat. I then pointed out to the council that it actually says right in the municipal code, this particular piece of property is my yard. I'm required to maintain it, but it's considered a right-of-way. Now, it's a city-controlled right-of-way, which there's a lot of them all over the place. Where a lot of people live, there's curbs. Like Mr. Silly, you live on Elizabeth Street. If someone was to try to do what happened to my side yard, they'd be buying a new tire and wheel, and because of the size of the curb there, and luckily some places don't have to worry about that. This isn't, it kind of got shoved to the side through the DPW as well. All over in the winter, people park off the road, which they do, in these sections of yard. And this can I'm going to ask to please just finish my speech. This isn't just a matter of random cars or people coming and going from my house. This is a company, this buildings that they're going to is a commercial storage building. And all I asked during this whole situation was that my yard gets fixed. It got to a point in time where I received, I'm getting ahead of myself here. The chief of police told me my options for a long time, and anyone else I had asked was to civilly sue the trucking company in Ogdensburg City Court, which I don't own the property. It seems kind of strange. And it does say in the municipal code, the DPW is not supposed to let any damage, like I've described to you very clearly on any right of ways. And I've also realized, looking at the Department of Public Works website, the opening page says department responsibilities, and the first thing says maintenance of city-owned parking facilities and right of ways, which is what I've been told this piece of property is considered. I received a letter. What I did was I foiled to the city clerk, since I was told to take this to court, and I have a lot of pictures. I have evidence from the day it happened. I have a incident report from the police. Now, I foiled basically to get on city letterhead from the city attorney that I am basically granted permission to bring this to court, to civil court, or here in Augsburg City Court, because I didn't think it made much sense. I then received a letter saying I was not to do that, was not permitted to do that. I spoke with city management during this time, and a not so good phone conversation, and was told it was my responsibility to fix the damage. So basically, I'm just here tonight, to let you know, I think it was a huge abuse of powers, what happened to me, when it says right in the municipal code and on the DPW front page website, that it's their responsibility to take care of this damage. I think that was a huge abuse of power. We used a city attorney. That clearly cost money. They should have just fixed it. And to be honest with you, I know I'm not supposed to swear in here, but I've been treated like shit. So I hope that this can get resolved. This very simple situation that should have been resolved a long time ago. And I hope when I speak here in the future, it's about more positive things and positive light. But some of the other stuff, which I won't bring up in here tonight, that happened to me, also regarding the city attorney during the past administration, I think there should be some investigation and people should be sanctioned for some of the stuff that happened to me. Thank you.
Anyone else in chambers? If anyone attending remotely would like to address council, please use the raise hand feature. The city clerk will recognize and unmute one person at a time, and you will have 2 minutes.
I do not see any hands raised, sir.
I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss information relating to current or future investigation or prosecution of a criminal offense, which would imperil effective law enforcement if disclosed and proposed, pending or current litigation. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Kathy, please call the roll.
Counselor Scamperly?
Yes.
Counselor Stevenson?
Yes.
Counselor Trim?
Yes.
Counselor Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Tully?
Yes.
Counselor Silly?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Approved.
We do not anticipate any action, so I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Mayor, I would like to ask that Sergeant Polniak and Director of Public Works Shane Brown participate in executive session.
Yes, so noted.